Hi there, you're on Gossip Says channel. Enjoy watching, subscribe and like it. It's growing our community. Story 1. I 20 Fahrenheit might have ruined my partner's 21 plank mass future and his relationship with his mother 43 Fahrenheit. I'm typing this immediately after the fact, and my stomach is twisting in knots, so I'm really sorry in advance if none of this makes any sense. I F20 have been with my partner M21 for a few years, and before we started dating, we were best friends throughout high school. Things have been getting serious, and we've been talking a lot about engagement and moving in together within the next year or so. The problem comes with his mother. His mother F43 hates me beyond belief. I met her this year, and she's been finding every excuse to pick me apart and tear me down whenever possible. I thought this came with the territory, as my partner, let's call him Levi, is her only son, and she's rather protective of him. I thought it would be a snide comment here, a passive-aggressive statement there, but I was so incredibly wrong. She, let's call her Sandra, is a devout Catholic Filipina, and uses those two titles as if she was born made of pure gold. Me and my partner are both Christian, but not to the degree that she is religious. She worships the church and thinks that if you're not Catholic, even if you're religious, then you're doomed to hell and evil. I'm Filipina myself, while my grandparents on my dad's side are, and she acts like I don't know anything about the culture and that she's so much better than me because of it. The reason why this is relevant is because of what has been happening. When we had first met, Sandra didn't like me because Levi hadn't talked about me out of fear that she would take away everything. She currently has control over his bank, his schooling, and more recently, kicked him off of the insurance so he can no longer drive. She has this thing where she refers to her goals as our goals, her and Levi's, and is obsessed with things just being them too. Nobody else matters. His friends, relationships, none of it matters. She backed him into a corner, literally. She forced him to curl up beneath her and yelled at him for what felt like hours. I wasn't there in the room, but he texted me before and after she had done this. Eventually, she let him up and demanded Levi give her my phone number, which I told him that he should so I can take the yelling instead, since I'm better equipped to handle people screaming at my face. She blew up my phone for some reason through text. I still don't know why, through walls of text, and basically asked my religion and what my intentions were, and forced me to promise that we wouldn't be having any relations of any kind before marriage. That last part's important. Oh, and we have to get married in a Catholic church. We probably won't, because she said you can't get married in a Catholic church unless you're Catholic. So after I calmed her down and assured her that I was Christian, and I hold similar values to her, I thought it was over. Me and Levi went to the beach one day, and she went ballistic. She face-called him, yelling, saying she was going to call the cops on us, and demanded to see my face and let me talk to her. I talked to her and assured her that we were safe, and we weren't going to drive late. He was going to stay with us on the couch, and then we would take him home in the morning. She said I was very beautiful, and that she expects grandkids in 10 years, prayed over us, and then hung up and went to bed. I was optimistic that things were going to be okay and were just off to a rocky start. When we met in person, I was a wreck. We were going to dinner, and I had my mom with me since she's more extroverted than me and knows how to steal a conversation. Levi had met my mom previously, but Sandra didn't know this. Sandra looked me up and down and asked, "What do you do?" I stumbled through telling her that I've been in college to study criminal justice and culinary arts. Weird combo, I know, and recently took a break because my dad had left the family. She proceeded to ignore me and talk with my mother for the rest of the evening. Her and my mom argued over who was going to pay. My mom ended up paying, and Sandra insisted she buy us ice cream. We sat and had ice cream, and she said she would like to see us again soon. I uses that as an opportunity to ask what they were doing for Thanksgiving, because I would love to come over and help with cooking. She replied very coldly, "Maybe, I don't know." It got awkward after that, so we said goodbye and then we parted ways. I later found out that she had told Levi that I was fat. She also calls him fat, which we both hate, but we try to shrug it off. At the time, we had brushed it off as their uncertain living situation. They are currently sharing a room at someone else's house. It got to a point where Sandra would yell at him on the regular, and Levi didn't want to do anything because of how much she can take away from him. I would try to encourage him, sometimes more successfully than others. She would say things like, in Filipino tradition, "You are not supposed to meet the mom until you're engaged," which completely contradicts why she initially didn't like me. Eventually, we came to the conclusion that he has one more year until he graduates. Just push through and we can get out of her grasp, help him open a new bank account, and move in together. My birthday rolls around and we want to go on a trip, and Levi says it's wiser not to tell her until the night before. She's much nicer when she wants to hurry up and go to bed. When he does, she's surprisingly all for it, as long as we spend 2 hours driving him back to his dorm each night, because we're not allowed to stay in the same house together, otherwise I'll guaranteed get pregnant apparently. Obviously we can't do that, but we agree anyways. It's not like she'll know if we don't. She also went on a rant about wanting 5 grandchildren. All seems well. My birthday goes great. We have a wonderful time together. There's hope things will be okay. Now it's today. We've been wanting to ask if he can come over for Christmas. Not actual Christmas Day, but the 15th to 18th, since there's a church Christmas party and we want to spend time together for Christmas. Sandra asks if he'd be staying at our house. Before I could answer, she goes off on me saying that in Catholic tradition, it's wrong to stay in the same bed until marriage. I would like to point out, we wouldn't be staying in the same bed because my bed is too small. So we have a little sleep over in the living room where he takes the couch and I sleep on the floor. She said we're trying to avoid what's inevitably going to happen, and many other things about me ruining his life if we end up sharing a bed together. I am enraged. I read the message to Levi, angry that she insinuated that I'm tempting my partner, angry that would disrespect my mother by implying that she would let something like that happen. Just to clarify, it's not about whether or not we sleep together. I got angry because she was talking as if my household is a brothel, when she knows we're devout Christians. Also, I don't want it to sound like I'm shaming anyone who does sleep together before marriage, because I couldn't care less about what other people do in bed. I asked Levi, who's now just as angry, if I can reply back, and he said yes. I told her that, with all due respect, we would not be sharing a bed, that I feel disrespected that she would say things about me, my family, and my household, and ended it by asking if she had ever considered Levi's feelings about anything. She talks about how she doesn't have to respond because Levi's finals are coming up, and I shouldn't stress him out. So I don't reply. I didn't mention this earlier, but she goes crazy if Levi doesn't call her every single night, so I knew this was going to come up again. The call happens, and I don't know the details, but Levi came crying and yelling, saying that his mom called me evil and wicked and controlling and manipulative. I tried to calm him down, and Sandra messages me saying, "How dare you tell Levi about our conversation so that he can be stressed on his finals? That's a great way to ruin his studies." I didn't reply, and I didn't tell Levi. I continue trying to calm him down. I've genuinely never seen him this angry. I don't know most of what happened on that phone call, but it had to have been really, really bad. 2 hours pass. She creates a group chat with me and Levi and messages us saying essentially that I'm selfish, disrespected her culture as a Filipino mom, that I created division in their household, and if I was actually a Christian I wouldn't that she raises her son a certain way because it's Filipino and Catholic culture too, and that I was only thinking about myself the entire time, that her son hates her and won't talk to her because of me, and all she can do is cry and pray. I genuinely don't know what to do. I've been on and off crying for hours. Levi has his phone turned off and is ignoring his mom, so he hasn't seen the group chat messages. I'm so scared that she's right and that I did ruin everything, and that he's going to have everything taken away before he can graduate. She's threatened this stuff before, and I hate how I caused the love of my life's life to be ruined. Levi's emotionally exhausted and is scared about what's going to come of this, and I don't know what else to do. I feel so guilty and awful about this. Please help. TLDR. My partner's mom disrespected me and my family. I called her out on it, and now she hates me, putting my partner's bank account, school, most of his personal belongings, and future at risk, and would like advice on how I can fix it. Please subscribe, leave comments, rate videos, and click the bell not to miss my videos. Story 2. Married for 5 years, poor sex life, and thoughts of having sex with someone other than my wife. I'm a 36 blank mass married to a 32 Fahrenheit with 2 kids for the past 5 years. We have been together for 10 years before. My wife is a great mom to the kids and keeps the household ticking along. We have the odd disagreement like any couple, but from the outside I'm sure people would think we are happy with a steady income, nice house, decent lifestyle, etc. However, there is one issue that is playing on my mind which I don't know how to deal with. Our sex life is average at best, with the only time we ever have sex being on a Saturday night if we are lucky. Sometimes nothing will happen for weeks. If I suggest sex on a different night, she'll complain she is tired and that I am pestering her for sex. She has little self-confidence, and we cannot have the light on. She hides her body from me. If we ever have a day off work together, I'd like to spend an hour in bed together, but she refuses, saying it's wasting the day and there is too much to be done. The sex is very average and typically the same format each time. Perhaps a couple of times a year she'll be enthusiastic and it's far better, but the rest of the time I feel she only has sex with me to tick a box, so I cannot complain. I've explained how I feel and it's dismissed. We cannot be open or really talk about sex. It ends up building into a big issue as it plays on my mind. I'd say every 4 to 6 months it results in a big argument. There's a lack of affection from both sides, and she has previously complained that I show no affection, and therefore it doesn't make her want to have sex with me, but I just don't know what to do anymore. I personally think that a healthy sex life is the sign of a strong relationship. Unfortunately, we have no friends or family who can look after the kids, so date nights are a no-go. I'm finding it more and more difficult accepting this is my future for the rest of my life with her. I keep having thoughts that I'd like to experience having sex with someone else to see what it's like, but I know that is wrong. Before meeting my wife, I didn't have much experience, so when I got with her the sex was originally good but has now ended up as I have described. I don't want to divorce her on this basis, as it wouldn't be fair on the kids, but equally it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. I haven't sought an affair, as again I know this would be wrong and harmful on the kids, if more like when I got caught. So far these thoughts have been a fantasy, but I can't help thinking time is ticking for me. I recently found some of the NSFW subs on Reddit by accident and see women of my wife's age posting with confidence. I really admire that and wish my wife loved her body enough to be naked in front of me, let alone sharing it with Reddit. I've tried to encourage her to work out and even bought her a Peloton lately, but it hasn't changed anything. I'd really appreciate some constructive advice, as I have no one to discuss this with. TLDR. Married for 5 years, but I am unhappy with the sex and have thoughts about having sex with other women,